Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. We made it to another Friday, headed into the weekend. But first, we got a lot to talk about today. We saw the white smoke from the Sistine Chapel yesterday, followed by the historic announcement that a 69-year-old American will lead the Catholic Church. So who is Pope Leo? I'll introduce you to him in today's show. President Donald Trump has chosen the 5 co-host Judge Jeanine Pirro to be the interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., after withdrawing the current interim, Ed Martin, when it became apparent that he did not have the support in the U.S. Senate to get the permanent job. Former President Joe Biden denies that he told Kamala Harris that she had to be loyal to his legacy while on the campaign trail. Biden appeared on The View this week. And South Carolina is in the national news, but not necessarily for a good reason. Headlines: a South Carolina firing squad is being accused of botching the execution of a death row inmate that left him in excruciating pain as he bled out, according to an autopsy report and expert.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Trump announced in the Oval Office yesterday at a ceremony that the U.S. and United Kingdom have reached an agreement on trade and tariffs. Trump has agreed to cut tariffs on UK autos, steel, and aluminum, according to the deal, which would buy more. Britain would buy more American beef and streamline its customs process for goods from the United States. The symbolical agreement still has not yet been finalized as far as the details, but it suggested that Trump was still able to negotiate with other countries after his vast set of tariffs created fears around the world of an economic downturn and possibly higher inflation. The announcement yesterday provided a political victory for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and offered a degree of validation for President Trump's claims that his somewhat turbulent approach on trade may be able to rebalance the global economy on his preferred terms. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? People have doubted President Trump, his ability to negotiate, and have been somewhat fearful and critical of the tariffs. Because let's face it, none of us want to pay higher prices on anything. But yet those of us who support the president and want President Trump to succeed, we have been sort of sitting back and waiting and watching. Trump talked up the agreement to reporters from the Oval Office, even as, again, the fine print hasn't been completely agreed upon. He told the reporters the final details are being written out in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive. The president said that the agreement would lead to more beef and ethanol products being shipped to the UK, which would also streamline the processing of U.S. goods through customs. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the baseline 10% tariffs would stay in place, while UK officials said that Trump's auto tariffs would go from 27.5% to 10% on a quota of 100,000 vehicles, and the import taxes on steel and aluminum would go from 25% to a big fat zero. Prime Minister Starmer, speaking over the phone to Trump, stressed the importance of their relationship, talked about the two countries at the anniversary of the World War II victory in Europe was being commemorated. He said to be able to announce this great deal on the same deal 80 years forward, almost at the same hour as we were 80 years ago with the UK and the U.S. standing side by side, I think it is incredibly important. It's a very big deal right now, Trump told reporters. The deal affirms that fairness is a vital principle of international trade and increases access for U.S. agricultural products specifically. It also fast-tracks American goods throughout the whole process. It's going to be so much easier. Earlier yesterday, Trump said it would be a full and comprehensive plan amid expectations that the two countries would soon sign this trade deal. He wrote in a post on Truth Social that it would be the first of many, but provided no further details of other countries that could potentially be a part of this. His post said, big news conference tomorrow at 10 a.m., the Oval Office, concerning a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country, the first of many. The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one, he said. It will cement the relationship between the U.S. and the United Kingdom for many years to come. He wrote, because of our longtime history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement, many other deals which are in serious stages of negotiation to follow. Now, also in tariff news yesterday, the Trump administration says that they're weighing a plan to potentially slash the 145% tariff on Chinese imports by more than half, and it could come as soon as next week. Now, I don't know what the negotiations are between the U.S. and China right now. There's been no declaration of just what those look like. But if he's saying, or if the administration is saying that they could be slashed in half, and this was a report from the New York Post, by the way, citing unidentified sources, this could be big as well. There's obviously a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. The White House dismissed the report as speculation, saying when decisions on tariffs are made, they will come directly from the president. Anything else is just pure speculation. Well, we get that, but there's a lot of people out there who are involved, and they love to leak information to the press. Meanwhile, some news from former President Joe Biden. He denied that he told former Vice President Kamala Harris that there could be no daylight between them while she was out on the campaign trail, and defended what was widely seen as a flubbed opportunity for the vice president to differentiate herself from Biden during her October 2024 interview on the ABC show. So here's what happened. Co-host Sunny Hostin brought up her question posed to Harris, and you'll remember this. You and I shared it. We talked about it a great deal. When Hostin asked at the time if there was anything the then vice president would have done differently from Biden, and Harris stood for just a second and said, no, nothing comes to mind. And even those of us who did not want to see her do well, we're thinking, you really flubbed that one up, Vice President, because surely there's something you would have done differently, and you don't want to run on that, on his record. You want to try to distance yourself. Well, evidently Joe Biden had talked to her and had told Kamala Harris, hey, I don't want you out there being critical of our administration. Now, Hostin said the vice president's answer was weaponized against her and asked the former president about the reporting that he had told Harris there could be no daylight between the pair while she was campaigning. Here's Joe Biden's response.
Let me just follow up with this, because when the vice president was here, I asked her if she would have done something differently than your administration over the past 4 years. And because of all the successes that your administration had, I think her response was, there is not a thing that comes to mind. Now, that answer was weaponized against her. And there has been some reporting that you encouraged her for there to be no daylight between the two of you. First, is that true? And do you think in retrospect that she should have tried to differentiate all the wins that your administration had?
Well, look, First of all, I did not advise her to say that, number one. Like I said, I was vice president. I understand the role, number one. Number two, I think she was talking about wouldn't have changed the successes we've had, not opposed to that we wouldn't change anything at all. She has to be her own person, and she was. She was. And so I think that was used in a way that is contrary to what she meant by when she said that. And I think that, she was part of every success we had. We'd argue like hell, by the way. No. That's good.
Yeah.
Look, the truth is, and we all know it, there were no successes for them to be proud of. There was nothing for her to run on. That's why she failed miserably. Are you ready for this? I dropped over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan. No Ozempic, no shots, no meds. Look, I refuse to rely on prescriptions for life, and you probably feel the same. Joey Hudson here. Here's what Big Pharma won't tell you. Your body already makes GLP-1. That's the hormone that fights hunger. PhD helps your body produce it naturally, faster, and without side effects. With PhD, there's no muscle loss, no rebound weight gain, and no cravings. Just real, lasting weight loss the natural way. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. It takes 5 minutes and shows what's really happening inside your body. You'll walk out knowing how to flip your fat-burning switch. No shots needed. Don't trade your health for a quick fix. You can do this without Big Pharma and without the drugs. Plus 15% off when you fully commit to your program and the PhD Get Results Guarantee. Call now 864-644-1900. Start today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. So we saw it yesterday, the white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel, signaling that Catholics have a new pope, and an unlikely and historic one, an American. Cardinal Robert Prevost, a Chicago native who spent his career ministering to the poor in Peru, has been elected the 267th Pope, marking the first American Pope in the Catholic Church's 2,000-year history. Prevost is 69 years old and will be known to the world as Pope Leo XIV for the first time yesterday evening after the historic conclave concluded in Vatican City. He waved to the crowds filling St. Peter's Square with cheering, chants, and some tears as well. So who is Cardinal Prevost? He is widely considered to be soft-spoken and cautious, but has not been shy in recent years about speaking out on hot-button issues, from the teaching of gender ideology in schools to climate change. He's known as Robert Francis Prevost. Prior to his election yesterday as the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, the Chicago native's views on several controversial topics can be found from just past comments and past social media posts. Evidently, he's been active on social media over the years. Like his predecessor, he's a strong believer that the faithful have a responsibility to take care of the planet. Ouch. He believes in climate change. The then president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America and prefect of the dicastery of the bishops argued in November of last year that it's time to move from words to action on what he called the environmental crisis. Dominion over nature should not become tyrannical, he stressed, arguing that man's relationship with the environment must be a relationship of mutual faith and understanding. Prevost further cautioned against the harmful environmental impacts of technological development and highlighted the Vatican's installation of solar panels and the use of electric vehicles. So, we got another climate change enthusiast as the Pope. What about gender ideology? You may recall his predecessor famously told reporters, "Who am I to judge?" in reference to how he felt about gay people, and said that homosexuals must be integrated into society. Well, Pope Leo may be a little less accommodating. In a 2012 address to bishops, Prevost accused the news media and popular culture for encouraging sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel. This according to an article in the New York Times. Among those beliefs and practices Pirro cited were the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families comprised of same-sex partners and their adopted children. Now, while he was a bishop in northwestern Peru, Prevost opposed a government initiative to promote gender ideology teachings in school, saying the promotion of gender ideology is confusing because it seeks to create genders that do not exist. Well, at least the new pope understands that God made a male and a female. That's a good sign. That's a check mark there. What about abortion? On social media, Prevost has expressed strong support for the Catholic Church's anti-abortion stance. In a 2015 post, he posted a photograph from the March for Life rally in Chicago, exhorting his followers, let's defend human life at all times. Prevost also retweeted a 2017 Catholic News Agency article on New York Archbishop Timothy Cardinal Dolan condemning abortion at a mass ahead of the March for Life rally in Washington, D.C. And in his homily at the time, Dolan urged Catholics to reclaim the belief that the mother's womb is the primal sanctuary where a helpless, innocent, fragile, tiny baby is safe, secure, nurtured, and protected. The Prevost retweeted saying, let's defend human life at all times. So on the issue of abortion, we got a strong pro-life pope there. What about capital punishment? According to the New York Post, Prevost expressed opposition to capital punishment, which also reflects the Catholic Church position. He says it's time to end the death penalty in a post on X in March of 2015. Euthanasia. In 2016, Prevost reposted a Catholic News Agency article in which citizens of Belgium, where euthanasia, by the way, is legal. I didn't realize that till I read this article in the New York Post. He urged Canadians not to support legislation that would allow for assisted suicide. A tweet that he reposted said, don't go there. Belgians plead with Canada not to pass euthanasia law, hashtag pro-life. In the article, Belgian doctors, lawyers, family members whose loved ones were euthanized argued that assisted suicide threatens the most vulnerable in society and compromises the doctor-patient relationship. What about gun rights? We're not going to like this one. In October 2017, Prevost retweeted a call for new U.S. gun control from Senator Chris Murphy, the Democrat from Connecticut, after a gunman murdered 60 people in Las Vegas. You remember that horrible tragedy. Murphy had written in a tweet shared by the new pope, to my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. None of this ends unless we do something to stop it. Evidently, the Pope-to-be agreed with that and retweeted it. So, it's interesting how people who weren't familiar with Bishop Prevost, how you can go back and look at previous social media posts and get a pretty good idea of how they fall on the issues, isn't it? Look, I'm not Catholic, so it really doesn't matter to me, although I respect people who are Catholics, and I'm happy for them that they have a new pope. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. On the text line, Faye writes, Joey, whoever corrected your pronunciations must not be a born-here Southerner because we understand every word you say. Keep it coming, Joey. Well, thank you, Faye. Yesterday, I shared with you a text from a very nice and polite listener who just pointed out that I had butchered a few words the previous day, and I probably did. Jennifer writes, hey, Joey, based upon your prediction, I'm wondering if the members of the Can't Make It Happen South Carolina State Legislature actually turned into pumpkins yesterday. That's what you said. I heard you. Well, yes, Jennifer, you did. And headlines from Columbia, South Carolina, a bunch of pumpkins were seen rolling around outside of the state capitol at 5:01 p.m. yesterday. Thanks for your text. Your comments are welcome. Always, you can text me. You can email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. And, of course, your messages are welcome on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Just call, leave me a quick message, and I may share it with you here on the show. President Donald Trump has chosen the 5 co-hosts, Judge Jeanine Pirro, to be the interim U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. Pirro has left Fox News Channel. That happened quickly. And Fox News says a rotation of personalities will fill her seat on the 5 until a new co-host is named. A spokesperson for Fox News said Judge Jeanine Pirro has been a wonderful addition to the 5 over the last 3 years and a longtime beloved host across Fox News media who contributed greatly to our success throughout her 14-year tenure. We wish her all the best in her new role in Washington. Boy, I tell you, Trump is just really pulling these Fox hosts away, isn't he? How many is he hired now? Pirro served as the assistant district attorney and district attorney in New York's Westchester County. She became the first woman to serve as a judge in Westchester County as well. She joined Fox News Channel in 2006, hosted Justice with Judge Jeanine for 11 years before joining the 5, which has emerged as the most watched show on cable news. Trump also announced on True Social that Ed Martin, who was the previous interim U.S. attorney, will be moving to the Department of Justice as its director of the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Pardon Attorney. Trump pulled Martin's nomination for U.S. Attorney in D.C. following resistance on Capitol Hill, signaling that he did not have the votes to be confirmed. I think probably once North Carolina's Tom Tillis let it be known he would not be supporting Mr. Martin, they realized the votes wouldn't be there, so decided to move on. His decision to replace Martin came amid a May 20th deadline to confirm the former defense attorney and stop the Steele organizer. And that's why some of the senators do not like the guy. And if the Senate fails to confirm a U.S. attorney nominee within 120 days, federal district court judges may select an interim U.S. attorney according to the Department of Justice. Guess who that district judge in that area would be? Judge Boasberg. And we do not want him choosing a district or a U.S. attorney. Speaking of the courts, a South Carolina firing squad tried to shoot a convicted cop killer in the heart and missed, and is being blamed as botching the execution that left him in what is being described as excruciating pain as he bled out. Now, this is according to an autopsy and some experts that they just released this information. Mikhail Mahdi is 42 years old. He murdered a South Carolina police officer during a crime spree in 2004 and was shot to death by a 3-person firing squad on April the 11th. But an autopsy report has revealed that none of the bullets hit his heart directly and that his chest showed only 2 bullet wounds instead of 3. This is according to a report from NPR. The bullets that struck him injured his liver and other internal organs and allowed his heart to keep beating as he remained alive for roughly a minute, according to this expert. Mr. Mahdi did experience excruciating conscious pain and suffering for about 30 to 60 seconds after he was shot, pathologist Dr. Jonathan Arden wrote in his analysis of the state autopsy. Arden, who was hired by Mahdi's lawyers to review the autopsy, added that Mahdi was alive and reacting longer than was intended or expected. Now, who's paying these lawyers to hire this expert to interpret the autopsy report? Why do they care? What are they after? Now, what you need to know, the reason that Mahdi was in front of the firing squad is in July of 2004, he went on a multi-state crime spree. He committed carjacking, firearm robbery, and 3 murders, including that of 56-year-old off-duty police officer James Myers, who was shot at least 8 times before his body was then burned. So here's my question. Do you think this police officer, James Myers, suffered? You think he felt any of the, quote, excruciating pain that these so-called experts are saying that this murderer felt because the bullet didn't pierce his heart? Dr. Carl Wiggin, a forensic pathologist who reviewed the autopsy documents for NPR, I thought they were going out of business. Wonder how they paid for this with our federal dollars, probably. He said he's not going to die instantaneously from this. I think that it took him some time to bleed out. Well, guess what? Wonder how long it took Officer James Myers to die after being shot multiple times by this murderer. Wonder how it felt when James Myers was burned by this murderer. On May 8th, lawyers for Mahdi told the South Carolina Supreme Court that the execution was botched, citing the state's autopsy and a forensic report. The Constitution in South Carolina bans cruel or unusual punishment, but the state Supreme Court, according to the New York Post, ruled last year that firing squad executions were not cruel because a prisoner would not suffer longer than 15 seconds. Now, that's counting on the heart being pierced. And evidently, they missed on this one. According to the justices at the time, when they were considering whether or not this would be allowed, the evidence said that they wrote, the evidence before us convinces us, though an inmate executed via the firing squad is likely to feel pain, perhaps excruciating pain, that the pain will last only 10 to 15 seconds. So I guess now we're arguing over the fact that, yes, it's expected that they're going to feel pain for 10 or 15 seconds. But in this case, because the sharpshooters did not hit his heart, that he felt pain for 30 to 60 seconds. And this is what they're squabbling over? You think the attorneys, you think their ultimate goal is to get some money out of the state? Maybe for his family? I don't know. He chose the firing squad. Back in March, he was given the option, and he chose the firing squad. This was just a few weeks after the state had carried out its first death by the firing squad. A doctor noted in the comment section on the state autopsy that it is believed that 2 bullets went through one wound. However, pathologists who reviewed the autopsy say they're skeptical that 2 bullets went through precisely the same small hole. Wiggins said, I think the odds of that are pretty minuscule. Jeffrey Collins, a reporter for the Associated Press, wrote that he heard Mahdi groan twice about 45 seconds after the shots. He said he continued to breathe for another 80 seconds before he appeared to take a final gasp, Collins wrote. Arden concluded in his report both the forensic medical evidence and the reported eyewitness observations of the execution corroborate that Mr. Mahdi was alive and reacting longer than was intended or expected. And again, I say I'm sorry for that, but he didn't show any grace or compassion for his victims. Stop wasting our time. Let's move on. Joining us on our guest line from South Carolina's 5th Congressional District, Representative Ralph Norman. Welcome. Good morning.
Well, great to be with you, Joey.
it's a busy time in the in our country. Let's start with Medicaid. This is one of those programs that as soon as you mention reforming Medicaid, people start screaming. The Republicans are going to cut Medicaid. They're going to stop taking care of those who can't take care of themselves. But the Democrats never want to talk about the abuse, Congressman, like the estimated $1.1 trillion that's been paid that shouldn't have, given to people who didn't deserve it. How do we fix this broken system?
Well, first of all, Joey, you've got I think right at 79 million Americans on Medicaid and CHIPS, Children's Health Plan. Of that, you've got 24 to 25 million who are healthy Americans, do not have a source of income. They're able-bodied, and they're getting a paycheck from the government. It's like somebody coming into your radio show and saying, "I'm here for a check." And, well, you ask the question, what do you do for the check? We don't do anything. That's got to stop. Illegals, which were expanded under Biden unbelievably, and, of course, it started with Obama. But if you're an illegal, should you get a check from our federal government, which they've never paid anything into? No. Now, the media, and that's why you've got some Republicans up here who are listening to the media saying, well, Republicans are going to cut Medicaid, they're going to cut Social Security. That's just not true. Now, are we going to, if you have to define cut able-bodied Americans who should go to work? Absolutely. Yeah. Are we going to cut illegals? Absolutely. And so it's just not true what they're saying. I mean, this is a 60-year-old program that was intended to help truly those who are disabled, those people who really needed help from the government, not a catch-all check for everybody for anything. So that's what we're going to try to do. Is going to be done without any Democrat support. But the bill that we sent over to the Senate, we had zero Democrat support. They want a totally government-run economy, and it just doesn't work, and we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah. On our guest line today, Representative Ralph Norman, you mentioned illegals. I mean, how does an illegal ever even start to receive Medicaid?
Well, it starts when they can come across the border, as they've done the last 4 years, to the tune of 15 million and more, get Social Security numbers, get driver's license, and register to vote. I mean, that's how it starts. Yeah. And now it's illegal. That should not have happened in and of itself. The Democrats, I'm convinced, did this so that they thought they would have a voting bloc. Well, it didn't happen. 77 million people voted for Donald Trump, and it's growing in numbers of the support for a man that's leading this country back to solvency and to sanity. But no, that's where it starts, and we're getting them out of the country, but it's going to take money. It's going to take time to do it. And for them to sign up get a check from the federal government, whether it's Social Security, whether it's Medicaid, is criminal. And as the DOJ Commission has found, there's so much waste, fraud, and abuse, and we've got to have the courage to stop it.
Yeah. Congressman, speaking of money, yes, it does cost money. Where are we in the budget process this year?
Well, what I've learned in D.C., Joey, every dollar spent has got an advocate, right or wrong. And what the House sent over is really unbelievable. It hadn't been done since I've been up here, and from what I'm hearing the last 20 to 30 years, which is legitimate cuts. We've got a cut. And then a cut in D.C. used to be just a reduction in the increase in spending. No, this is a true cut. 1.5 is our baseline. $2 trillion is our aspiration over 10 years. Yeah. And to get this country back on a solvency, in a financial path that we can sustain. It's not sustainable. And a big part of what we're going to have to save is going to have to come from Medicaid, and the reforms there will lead the way, and hopefully we'll get this done. But we're trying to, next week will be a key week because you got your Energy and Commerce meeting and you got the Agriculture Committee meeting, and they've got the bulk of where we have to find the savings. So hopefully we'll get that done. Can it be done by Memorial Day? Hopefully, but if not, I think hopefully we stay up here and work until we get it done.
Yeah. joining us today, Representative Ralph Norman. All right, so here's the headline from CNN yesterday. The first boats carrying Chinese goods with 145% tariffs are arriving in L.A. Shipments are cut in half. Expect shortages soon. Talk with us about where we are with tariffs, and are we going to start seeing these shortages, and how is this going to affect prices?
Well, President Trump, as early as late yesterday, early morning, said, "Are they going to relieve the tariffs on China?" No, that's not going to happen, and we're too dependent on China as it is. Now, as we've seen on other tariffs in other countries, he has altered them. Like there's a big announcement today with Great Britain. We're a big trading partner to the tune of $68 billion with Great Britain. He's going to strike a deal that's good for America and that's good for our economy and will bring back manufacturing to this country. We can't depend on China, who is our enemy and who has ramped up fentanyl production aimed at killing more Americans that they already have killed during the Biden years. Yeah. So is it going to hurt? Yes, it's going to be painful for a while. I do think the president's aware of the economy has got to keep going. The Democrats keep saying recession, recession, recession. That's not going to happen. He's going to have the tariffs to make great deals. 70 countries are now at the table negotiating, and without the tariffs in place, this would have never happened. So I think for a while it's going to be painful, but long term it's going to be good for the country.
Yeah. Congressman Ralph Norman, it's always a pleasure. Now, see where you're going to have a telephone town hall coming up soon. Talk with our listeners about how they can participate.
Well, we cover about 30,000 people in the 5th District, and we used to have actual town hall meetings. Yeah. What's happened is the disruption that takes place and deliberately by the left to ship people in. So teletown halls is something I enjoy. We engage people. I tell them what's going on in the 5th District, and then we are able to cover a lot of ground and a lot of territory, and informing our residents in the 5th District of what's going on.
Yep. Congressman, I appreciate your time today. Appreciate what you do for us in Washington, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Joey.
Sure thing. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.